Hi. Welcome to another episode of Slay with me, Leigh M. Clark. I apologize for the shadows. My ring light is officially broken. But today we cover every day we cover stories of powerful women who are leaving their mark. One of those women is Bree Holbrook, who I personally think is one of the most fantastic humans on the planet. I am biased, but she's in our Slaying Orlando book. She is a serial entrepreneur and somebody who has a lot to share. Currently, Bree is with MAKE Wellness, and what they're doing in the peptide space is amazing. And if you're like me, you're like, what the hell are peptides? What's collagen? What's placebo? I don't even know. The short answer is they're messengers to your body to improve the condition of your body. They are scientifically backed and proven, and like there's this whole push for cellular right now, things happening on a cellular level, like stem cells, etc. The peptides are an example of that. So they are a cellular level, basically a notifier to the rest of the system to like up your game. So amazing things this company is doing. We're going to get into that. Bree, welcome to the show. Anything I missed on the intro?
No, I mean, Leigh, I'm just happy to be here. Thank you for having me, and it's such an honor.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so excited that you're in Slaying Orlando. We have their book coming out in December 16th of 2025. So definitely, mark your calendars for that. And we're well on our way. So we are going to play 10 Ways to Slay. There's going to be 5 questions for you, 5 questions for me. We're going to go back and forth and hopefully leave the listeners with some great tips and info about both your entrepreneurial journey and wisdom, etc. So starting with that, I know a little bit about your story because I know why I chose you for the book, but tell the listeners a little bit about what's your entrepreneurial journey been like.
So, yes, so my entrepreneurial journey started about 20 years ago. And with the first entrepreneurial business, I didn't do that great. I look back now and I was 25 at the time. And honestly, I just felt like, I didn't really believe in myself. And I had a little bit of success, but it just went by the wayside. And then about 10 years after that, I started another company and it just also it went well. I would say I got a little bit better. I felt a little bit better about myself, like I had more confidence, but I really lacked the systems to scale. So looking back now, joining Make Wellness about a year ago, I just really see now how both of those things combined, you really need like confidence and you need the systems to scale, and that's where I feel like just it's exploded. And I made more in the first 3 months than I made in a whole year with my previous business. And so, anyways, I'm just excited. I'm excited to help people feel better, and that's what it's all really about.
Amazing.
And so, tell me, so for you, if you could go back to the beginning, what would you tell yourself, your younger self?
I think, you can do it. You don't need, like, everybody else doesn't know everything. You think the world is full of these people who are figured it out and are self-actualized and got it all. No, everyone's on a dress rehearsal. Everyone's doing their best. 20 years of working with top level CEOs at Fortune 500 companies. They put their pants on one leg at a time. They're the same type of people as you and I. And they have their own hangups, their insecurities, their like things. So I think especially as a younger person, you go into the world thinking that everyone else knows more than you, and everyone else is just learning. And I think also like that whole worrying about what other people think of you. I think it's really hard to express to somebody in their early 20s how wasteful and meaningless that energy really is. You're fighting the world as your mirror. Just get comfortable because you're stuck with you every breath from birth to death. And if you don't like who you're hanging out with, it's a long road and you cannot avoid things. You can't escape. Escapism is cool, but it doesn't work. You just really have to get to a point where you do things that are in your best interest. You don't betray yourself for other people's sake. And you really just, honor the one you've been chosen to ride with, it's you and God. So like that's something I really wish I could instill in my younger self. Um, I want to ask you, and I'm going to switch my order a little bit. Um, what advice that you used to have that you stood on that you would no longer stand on? Like, what is one thing you believed wholeheartedly that you no longer really stand on?
Gosh, I mean, that's such a good question. I feel like that I mean, I feel like a lot of times I thought that I had to fit in to, growing up because I came from, a background with a single mom and didn't really feel, I guess you would say, probably like that I belonged in different people groups. I used to think, well, if you don't belong in this certain people group, then there's something wrong with you. And so I think now I look back and I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, you're not going to belong. You only belong in the places that you're really meant to belong in, and that God oftentimes, he makes you into that person. He used the adversity of growing up with a single mom. She had to work multiple jobs. Like, we got hand-me-down clothes. Like, I feel like in a lot of ways I look back on my childhood and I think, oh my goodness, this was the thing that prepared me, that's making me into the entrepreneur that I am today. But I think I just for so long felt like I had to fit into certain places. And if I'm honest, I'm still a work in progress in this area. But I would just say, it's okay if you don't feel like you fit in to everywhere, because you're just not going to find your people. They say find your tribe. And I feel like with you and this movement that you're creating, I feel like that I found my people, and I'm just so grateful for that. So okay, the question that I have for you is, what would you say, how do you define success, for yourself beyond money and title? I know you're incredible, and that's what attracted me to you. It was just your big heart to give. So tell us a little bit more about, how do you just define success for yourself outside of money or title?
I would say, yeah, for me, money and title don't matter to me. I mean, obviously, we want resources, right? We want resources because resources, and be the easiest way to get resources is become one. Be a resource and they come your way. So I kind of have mastered that part. What to me, success means peace. Success means the autonomy to say yes when I want to and to say no when I don't want to. That's
Mm,
it. Literally, that's it.
mm,
And being very, intentional with my choices is what's making me successful. Being authentic to me is perfection. Like,
mm,
if you really just radiate exactly who you are and you're very transparent, your people will find you. When we are performative and we feel like we have to be something for someone else or act a certain way, we're
mm,
betraying ourselves, right?
mm,
And B, we're not being genuine. So how can our people find us if we're not being who we really are? It's the hardest part is figuring out who you really are. But I
mm,
think that's why for me, walking away from corporate and going into an entrepreneurial journey, it was starting to feel very disingenuine to me. Now, I always loved my clients. I'm not that smart technically. I never pretended to be. And that's why my clients love me, because I would tell them I'm not that smart, but I know people who are, and I'll call them for you and find out. Or here's the best way to negotiate. Like, I've always given people, myself very transparently in that way. But it got to a point where I'm like, I feel like someone else would be so excited to work for Microsoft. And I'm so excited to help these women tell their stories. So what am I afraid, right? Afraid what? That I won't make it, afraid that I won't have resources. Well, and I'll give you this great example. This is the best. I was 23 years old. I was in a training for ADP. I was about to go sell time and labor management systems to CEOs in New York at 23, right? I'm blonde, whatever. Walk up to my instructor after 6 weeks of training and I said, "Do you really think like a CEO is going to believe me on like what he needs to do with his time and labor?" And he goes, "I really didn't question it till you asked, but maybe not." And I was like, huh. So if I don't believe in me, if I believe that I could fail, if I continue to think, oh, well, maybe it won't work out, or what if I don't, then I'm making room for that possibility. Like I always say, success is my only option, right? Failure is not. It's really Eminem, not me, but you know what I mean? Like having that attitude. So for me, success looks like believing in myself and then also making sure that the area around me believes in me too. I know my parents are really, and I have literally kept this job for so many years for my parents because they like love that I'm at a big company and the safety and all that. And I literally said to my mom, listen, I just, if you're afraid, just don't, I don't want to hear, I can't listen to it because I have no room right now for talk of failure. I can't even let that noise in my own head, let alone in my, and she was very respectful and understanding of that. Like it's hard to be an entrepreneur. So don't make room around the table for people who think you might fail.
mm.
If they
I love
do,
that.
ask them to, but that's success to me. Okay. Tell me, speaking of success, you've been incredibly successful with peptides. It's completely changed your entire strategy, the quality of your life. Your daughter's horseback riding. I mean, that couldn't be more exciting. So if I was in an elevator with you and you had to tell me, break down what the hell is a peptide and what does it do, go.
Yes. Okay, so peptides are short chains of amino acids like we said, but they're everywhere. Okay, we have peptides all around us, but we've never been able to actually isolate and get peptides out of nature. They've been very expensive injectable ones. So this is the first time about a year ago AI has been able to isolate these peptides made from nature, and so your body actually recognizes those. It's like a text message to your cell that says, hey, produce more energy, hey, build muscle, hey, lose fat, hey, focus. I just took my focus peptide right before I got on here because I needed to focus. And so that's the cool thing, is that on a cellular level, like you were saying before, like it really is like healing your body. It's not prescriptions, okay, and it's not supplements. It's kind of in between. It's the wedge between prescriptions and supplements, called nutraceuticals. So made from nature. And so that's why a lot of my friends, have been on the skinny shot. I don't throw any shade to that, but you have the adverse effects of that. So the throwing up, or all the things. And these, because they're text messages from nature instead of from a lab, they're synthetic, non-synthetic. That's why we're having so much success. People actually are able to lose the weight. They've all the things. And so I think for me, when I was 45, I am 45, but I had tried all the things. I had tried to lose the weight, to all the things that I used to do. They just didn't work. I was eating clean. I was, like I said, I was exercising. Even I was doing tennis like 8 or 9 hours a week. And I wasn't losing the visceral fat, especially on the trunk of my body. So anyways, that's the really cool thing, is I feel like, yeah, peptides are just revolutionizing, and that's the really cool thing about it.
Amazing. I love that.
So tell me, what's a challenge you've faced as a woman in business, and how did you turn that into growth, would you say?
Yeah, I think challenges a woman in business is always going to be whenever somebody feels like their expectations aren't met, or that's any business owner, right? It doesn't matter if it's just women. You always want to meet people's expectations. I have learned, and it's taught me, that I cannot meet everyone's expectations. What I can do is set clear expectations, right? If I set clear expectations, then everyone knows what to expect. I have to be the one to set the expectation, because every project has 20 up to 25 women who have varying levels of expectations that I need to manage. So communicating that, making sure that people understand, like now in our system, we have like a brunch, frequently asked questions. Like you can expect to come in the room and meet up to 25 women who are going to sit down in a private room and tell you their story and this and that. I want to create those documents, like our launch party. It's always family friendly. Like it's not going to be a wedding. I have to, set those levels of expectations because we have a project to scale. But when people don't know what to expect, they create their own, and that's really hard for you to be a mind reader, to know what somebody else wants, what they've experienced in the past, what's their level. So I think what I've learned from that is really communicate clear expectations. And also, and this is a life lesson, you can't consider somebody inconsiderate unless you ask them to consider it.
Hmm.
So we can't go around feeling slighted by the world if we're not going to communicate what our expectations were. And for me, feedback's a gift. I have no ego in that way. I want to learn. I'm not going to do everything perfectly. I've made peace with that. To hang out with myself all day, 24/7. There's a lot of mistakes that happen all day. I'm used to that, and that's okay. It's communicating what to expect and then being open for the feedback. And if the shoe fits, wear it. If not, chuck it out the window. Be very neutral. But if somebody is willing to supply you feedback, one, they're either in pain or they really want to help you. There's two reasons.
Hmm.
Honor that. Walking around thinking you got it all figured out, you did the best fucking job on everything you've ever done in your entire life. it's not realistic. Like you and I talked offline, but like, mistakes are relatable. Humility is relatable. And
Mm,
like allow yourself that freedom. But if somebody comes and says like, well, that wasn't really what I was hoping for, be okay with saying, what were you hoping for? And what can I do to make it right? Like, is there any room for us to fix things? I'll use Boston as an example. We had a photographer who thought 32 photos was enough for their launch. Although they were the highest paid photographer of all the launches I've done, they gave them 32 pictures. And I offered to buy more. The women were like, I don't want to buy more from her. Like, why would she give us 32 pictures? And she stood on it too. She was like, that's real. What? Okay. So, and I'm talking missed family shots with people, like all the things. So they felt a way about that. And I got that feedback. So now I'm scheduling currently a luxury photo shoot for them as a group to get back together and to have a 6 month relaunch and do something. Can we fix it? And also, people out there, if you don't have a solution for your problem, it's not a problem, it's a complaint.
mm,
Period. Period. If somebody offers you solutions and you're like, man, 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 I don't want those, it's a complaint. You can have complaints, that's fine. But identify, is it really a problem or is it a complaint? Because those
mm,
are two different pieces of feedback, you know?
mm.
Um, I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about your family because I know
Yeah.
like they're at the heart of everything you do and why, being independent and having and also all the other women that and men that you empower to have more time and freedom with their family. Since you have more autonomy over your schedule, what brings you the most joy about spending time with your family? And also how's the business impacted that?
Yeah, I think that's such a great question. And I would say that I just one of the reasons why I do what I do is because, raised by a single mom, I think, and she had to work a lot. I wanted to have more freedom to be able to say yes to my kids. I didn't want a boss saying, "Oh, no, you can't go, over here and you can't go to this field trip or you can't pick up your kids from school." Like I wanted the freedom to be able to be present with them and also make a meaningful impact with our family and our finances. I think for a long time, after when I was an entrepreneur, I mean, worked in a nonprofit space, a faith-based nonprofit organization that helped college students kind of become entrepreneurs themselves, with character skills. We really helped empower them with that for the first decade. And even though I had some businesses within that time, I feel like for me, one of the things that I really recognize now is how important it is just to be there for your kids. And I think, being present with them, that's one of the things that's very important to me. I don't have my phone, from 5 to 8 p.m. Oftentimes, like it's off. I think that's one of the things that I really try to do. But one of the things that just really drives me to do what I do is I feel like there's so many people out there that are, they feel like there's no other option. They have to either be a stay-at-home mom or and have all those benefits and be with their family or work 9 to 5. And so you don't have to do both. I feel like there is opportunities to do that, and that's what I love about what I do, and just really believing that's possible for people. I think a lot of people they don't think that that's possible. So that's what I love. I like breaking the stereotypical, like I either have to do this or this. Like you can do both and you can do it well. So I feel like, yeah, one of the things that I just love about what I do not only is empowering, but what I get to do with my family, like the impact that this business has allowed for us to be able to afford the horseback riding lessons that I had to say no to for so long, and just give my kids experiences that I never thought that I would. All the travel and anyways, and be able to give back. That's one of the reasons why I started my business in the first place, was really so that I could say yes more to, missionaries, church things, nonprofits. Like I just really want to do that. So
And I
anyway.
love that you have such a generous spirit.
No, you're the best. Well, tell me, how do you, because I know you're a mom too, how do you balance being a mom and an entrepreneur? What does that look like for you?
I think for me, it's really important that my son sees me as an entrepreneur, especially after interviewing all these women over the last couple of years, consistently. Even in your story, right? Having a hardworking mom, having somebody who could support everything no matter what, instilled in you that everything was possible, and so possible is a very important word. When somebody sees something as possible, you are defining a path for so many people to become, masters of their own schedule and all of the things. So I think, having autonomy over the schedule, but also it's really odd for him. I had very hardworking parents, right? Still do. My dad's still working. My mom still sells her art and things like that. So they were working hard, but they weren't around, right? They couldn't be. There was no Amazon then, and they had to go to an actual physical location. Working from home wasn't really a thing then. And so now it's really interesting with my son because he doesn't always recognize that I'm at work because I'm always here. I drop him off every morning. I pick him up every day. Even when I worked for Microsoft, even when I worked for Salesforce, those companies that are progressive really allow you to have that work-life balance. So I'll be, in the pool with him, but also like on the phone. And he's like, he doesn't understand. He thinks I just have an obsession with my cell phone. But really that's like my 8 hours is like right here, right? So I think especially like kids today, it's a little hard for them to kind of understand where work is. I'm sure you can relate to that in your own life that it's always happening, but it's also never happening. It's everywhere and nowhere. So it's been better though in our new house because I have a glass door so he can like see that I'm working when I'm on calls and stuff, which is a little better. But yeah, we balance it. I think he's very fortunate, and I remind him all the time when he's like needs this or that. You're so lucky. I never was able, my parents weren't able to be around all the time. And yes, I can't always give you my full attention because I'm also working, but I'm here. You're in the pool with me. You're not at daycare. You're not with some babysitter, So that's been like super, super beautiful. I know you were just talking about philanthropy a little bit, and I know you were talking about, your entrepreneurial journey to date. What are you hoping to achieve in the next 5 years from a personal and professional standpoint?
Yeah. So I think first off, I feel like, my relationship with God, a lot of times I go away and I pray. I say, God, what do you want? Because I don't want my things to be what I want. I want what he wants. And so anyways, I started my faith journey when I was early in my 20s, and so my the scarcity mindset that I had has now turned into more abundance. So things that I thought never would be possible in 5 years from now, I'm like, it's happening. But I would love to just be able to, by 2030, I'd love to be able to give 1 million away in to nonprofits, to churches, to expand, I really feel like God's kingdom and just really his work. There's so many hurting people in this world. I feel like I mean, it just breaks my heart. And I get goosebumps like talking about just me, a little old me that would be able to help somebody else, and really it is about, it's not even about me, but I really feel like that God gives you money or people money to do good with it. So
Mm-hmm.
I really want to do a lot of good. I think I want to impact like thousands and thousands of people with these peptides, of course, to feel better overall. I mean, the other day I had one of my customers called me. She's 68 years old, and she said, Bree, I just want you to know that I've tried all these things. I've tried supplements. I've tried, weight loss shot. I tried like all of these things. And she said, I've not only have lost 30 pounds, but I feel stronger to the point where I have not wanted to be able to get down on the ground with my 14 grandkids in over a decade. And she said, that is the most important thing to me. And so when I hear stories like that, I'm like, that is worth all the rejections, all the no's, I mean, it has not been an easy journey. Let me just tell you, like, I think, that's what I would just say, don't give up. Don't give up because I gave up on myself way too much. But I'm so glad that I just kept on going because I did, because of my background, and the tenacity. I'm like, my mom would always say, she's like, you're a dog with like, that won't get rid of the bone. I'm like a dog with a bone. And so I think because of my past, even though I grew up with scarcity and not enough, now I see that, now that God has changed my life and my heart. And anyways, now I see that really all of those things were working together for my good. And I thought they were not for me. I felt like I was a victim for so long. And I feel like now I see those were actually God using, those were stepping stones to get me to the place where I'm at now. So
100%.
yes. So tell me, what's your best tip because you're like a social media or well, media expert. I'm sure you're also great at social media as well. But what is your best tip on how to, if somebody wants more media attention? I love this on the masterclass the other day. You gave some of your best tips. So share with us, like if somebody wants to get, TED Talk, all the things, tell us what would be your best tip for them.
Well, this day and age, ChatGPT, if you're not using it, you should be. And I didn't need another app. I've known about it for years and only recently started using it. So let me tell you, you can ask for tons of information, contact information, things like that to find these media outlets. The most important thing, once you get the information and that's readily available, reporters are on Instagram, they're on LinkedIn, the TED site will list a lot of places you can apply. Think about what's in it for them. Often we feel like we have to perform and we have to like we want people to like us and we want to sell ourselves to someone. Why me? Why pick me for the news? That's all they hear all day is why me, why me, why me. You got to think about them. So they're sitting around each week trying to come up with relevant content that is appealing to their viewers for ratings, for they're graded on how connected their audience is to the material. So when you think about what value you bring to the world, because we all have unique sets of value, what can you offer? So it's very important that people I work with are like Bree in the terms that they're generous with their spirit and they want to help. It's not that they want to sell, they sell by osmosis, they want to help. So if you think, how am I helping? And then you tell them that. I have a great story that I think your viewers would like. Here's why it would be helpful. If you have stats that you can add in there, like, I don't know, 68% of Orlando people struggle with weight or whatever that is. And you could say, hey, like, this is something I'm really passionate about. I think viewers would really be into it. They love when you cite examples, but they have to do this. So if you do their job for them and give them relevant content, the other piece of advice I would give you is go places and put your stuff where you can without paying, without somebody finding you. Um, Google or ChatGPT, open contributor platforms like Thrive Global. Write the article, put it out there. And then when you reach out to the media, say, you might have seen my article in Thrive Global. Find some place that you can go to have more credibility than just I'm a human raising my hand and I want to be on TV. And remember, this is the most important thing. Do it with intention, not for attention. If you're doing it for attention, I don't care how good you are, they're going to smell it. They don't want it. I don't want it. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants to watch that.
Mm.
You don't want to watch it. You don't want to watch it when you're scrolling through the attention seeking people online. It's not cool. So do it with intention, not for attention. Do it with intention of helping people. Think of the way that you can appeal to them in terms of how you're going to help their viewers or listeners. And it's easy. I mean, I literally like one of my favorite things is to get you guys coverage. I love it. When I ran the kindness charity for over 10 years, the only way I could get the message out, and I didn't care if people gave to me or just went out and did nice stuff. I was like, hey guys, do you know you actually feel better when you do nice stuff? Like not to perform, but just for fun? Like it's literally like dopamine and serotonin. There's scientific studies that like it will make you feel better to do nice things for that reason. So I definitely I was happy to reach out to media and say, hey, I got a great story. We're giving away produce in at government housing. I hope somebody else does it. Hope they see me and think, oh, maybe I'll pay for somebody's layaway. So I do have a bonus question for you. And that would be your mom, right? So you have a single mom. How important to you was it to make her proud? And how do you feel now as a mom in terms like are you trying to make both proud, your daughter and your mom? Like what was it like for you when you really realized like I've made my mom proud or like explain that?
Hmm. It's gonna make me emotional. I feel like I'm still probably trying to, you know, make my mom proud. She says she's proud, but I don't really know that. But I think one of the things that, I've done with my kids that I would just say that every night, I think just what did I want to hear growing up as a little girl? Or what do I need to even tell myself today? And I go to them at night and I tuck them in and I whisper, you are exactly, you're perfect, you're precious, you're, everything that God believes about them. And I think for me, just that it's the gift of, your what you want in your life. You give the things that you wish you would have gotten. And sometimes that's what I always tell my kids. If you want love, give it to other people, And so my hope is that I grow up, or that my kids grow up, and I grow up too, because I'm still reparenting myself. But I just pray and want kids that really believe who God says that they are, and also know that I'm going to be incredibly proud of them no matter what they do. No matter what success that they are in life, So anyways,
I'm sorry I made you emotional, but I'm glad I asked the question because what you said is so important. I am a 46-year-old woman who also could cry over wanting to make my mother proud. So I think it's really important that not only do we realize they are, and it's that we are difficult on ourselves, they always were. They may not have had the words and the whispers, but they always were. Um, are we proud of ourselves is more important. But again, that it doesn't matter how old you are. There's a lot of us who are still out there wanting to make our parents proud. And there's nothing wrong with that. But also like giving our children the freedom to know very, very, very much that they are proud. And my parents could say it a million times over. I don't know if I'll ever fully feel it just because I want so much, and like you, I want to save the world. I want to, I want to spread happiness wherever I go. I want the world to be better because I was in it. That's all, if I could sum it up. But I'm sorry, like I said, to make you emotional, but I right back at you. It's an emotional question, but I also want to say that I'm sure she's incredibly proud, as you should be. You're doing wonderful things. And how lucky am I that you're in my world now? We all love Bree. Follow you. How do they follow you? How do they find you?
So I'm on Instagram at Bree Holbrook, and yeah, Facebook. You can Bree Holbrook. Yeah. So all
Yep.
of those different places. But I'm just so honored. Thank you for having me. And I feel like I'm just on the learning and growing so much just from you and everything that you've taught me so far.
Well, I adore you. I'm like, the sky's the limit. I can't wait to see. We were talking offline about creating this Slave Foundation, which we've been talking about empowering women with grants for their businesses so we can give a hand up to other women who are trying to make themselves proud and make the world proud. But thanks for being a good human. We appreciate you, Bree. And I'm going to say goodbye, guys. We'll see you on the next episode.